At front row, Catch a Wave, Typo, Curly James, See Ya Art, Leap to Fame, Better Eclipse. Backline, Max Delight, Spirit of St. Louis, Don't Stop Dreaming, Beyond Delight, Mac Dan, Canina Problema. They're all set, ready. And the green light sends them on their journey, and Catch a Wave began fast from the inside gate and leads pretty comfortably. Moving up out a little bit wider, See Ya Art to the spot outside the leader, but still trying to kick up was Curly James, and it's keeping See Ya Art 3 deep now. Leaders back as Max Delight into the first turn. 3 back the inside, Spirit of St. Louis, and then came Typo from Leap to Fame, who slotted in about midfield, but he's about to rev up. And then came Don't Stop Dreaming, who's tracking him at the moment, and over on the inside is Beyond Delight. See Ya Art went up now to Test Catch a Wave as they enter the straight the first time, but Leap to Fame is on the improve. The favourites 3 out, and he's looming up alongside of Catch a Wave and See Ya Art as they go to the post with 2 laps to go. It's Catch a Wave in front. Leap to Fame getting up level now from See Ya Art and Max Delight, who at the moment is behind the leader. Leap to Fame is pressing on now, puts his head in front of Catch a Wave, and it's Leap to Fame heading out of the straight. Now a neck clear, now a metre clear, and he's about to cross over. In third spot, Max Delight, 3 back along the pegs. The outside running fourth is See Ya Art. 4 back the inside, Spirit of St. Louis. And then came Curly James the outside. Typo angled in on the pegs, 5 back. And then Don't Stop Dreaming. Next is Beyond Delight. Better Eclipse is back third last as they slow up a little bit and just getting a bit of a check back on the inside, Canina Problema. And outside of it is Mac Dan. Off the back straight, a lead time of 1:21.3, and the favourite Leap to Fame. The star in the pacing ranks. He had to work to get to the front, but he now backs off the tempo just a tad and led 4 metres to See Ya Art. In third spot, Catch a Wave gets the run of the race behind the leader. And then Max Delight, who's 3 back on the inside. Around him is Curly James. And then 4 back the peg, Spirit of St. Louis. From the Kiwi on the outside. And that's Don't Stop Dreaming as they pass the 1200. From Typo on the inside of Better Eclipse. And then Beyond Delight, Mac Dan, and last is Canina Problema. First quarter of the last mile in 30.3. And it's Leap to Fame in control with a lap to go in the Hunter Cup. Leads from See Ya Art. Catch a Wave is third, the pegs. Then Curly James as they head to the 900 metres. Grant Dixon yet to ramp things right up. 3 back the inside is Max Delight. And then came Curly James fifth from Spirit of St. Louis. 4 back the inside of Don't Stop Dreaming. Further back to Typo, Better Eclipse. And then Beyond Delight, Mac Dan and Canina Problema. Second quarter, 29.5. And Leap to Fame heads into the back straight, 4 metres clear. Catch a Wave's right there. We'll be awaiting the Garrard sprint lane. See Ya Art the outside. And then Max Delight, 3 back on the pegs from Curly James. Spirit of St. Louis, 4 back on the inside of Don't Start Dreaming. But off the back straight, Leap to Fame in front. He starts to tighten the noose. He's 5 metres to Catch a Wave. Third quarter in 27. 3 back the inside is Max Delight. 4 back the peg, Spirit of St. Louis. But it's Leap to Fame. He's in full flight coming around the home turn. He edges clear from Catch a Wave. Don't Start Dreaming is starting to run on strongly. Leap to Fame's got a healthy lead. The Kiwi runs on well. Don't Stop Dreaming, but it's Leap to Fame clear. The Queensland star. He takes another great leap towards the great stage, and he takes the Hunter Cup in style. It's all black and white. He is a special horse. Wins 2 metres. Don't Stop Dreaming was second and terrific. Max Delight ran a classic race. Typo made ground. Catch a Wave at weekend. Spirit of St. Louis and Canina Problema ran on. They were followed home by Curly James, back behind them, Better Exclusive, Better Eclipse, and then Beyond Delight, and well back in the field then a Mac Dan who never really got into it, and See Ya Art had weakened out of it but pulled up a bit closer than that. 27-1 the final quarter, the mile rate 1:54.
Hi folks, Larry Rolla here with my good friend Marshall Dobson and my new friend Grant Dixon. And I want to thank Marshall first of all for getting Grant to come on here. And Grant, I doing some research about you. I come up with maybe 1,500 pages of stuff and about another 50 videos. So I printed them all out and I threw them in the garbage. I kept about 3 pages, and it's just too much for me. I've been in the horse business now probably 65 years. So when day and night you're with horses and very little dealing with people, and then all of a sudden, at the age of 84, you get put into a situation like this. I'm not good at it. I'm not comfortable with it, so I'll screw up a lot. But I'm very, very happy that you were able to come on, and I have a lot of questions I want to talk to you about. But before we do that, I wish for the American audience on my side, you tell them a little bit about you and Leap to Fame. And then I have a bunch of stuff I want to talk to you about. So just tell them about you, your age, and everything. And before you start, I want to say one more thing. And I'm not saying this to patronize you or anything, but I know how tough the horse business is. It's extremely tough. Many challenges, and the reason I have to say I admire you, and I know them all. I knew all the greats. I knew all the Hall of Famers. I raced with them, and I tell you, after researching you, I have to tell you, I put you on the top of the list for around the world. And the reason I do that is because you conquered two major things: the horse business and life. And it's so inspiring to me because when I'm very aware of cancer and what you went through, I lived through that. And maybe at another podcast, we will talk about how I was involved in that and the hundreds and hundreds of people that I was involved with, including congressional hearings and everything else. So I lived with them people that were stricken with that terrible disease for many years. And for you to go through that and at the same time do what you did in the horse business with a stable of probably 40, 50, 60 horses, whatever you have, and compete and fight for your life, and in the end win both of them. That's why it's I'm not patronizing you. I respect you. And with that, tell the American audience about yourself.
Thanks for the kind words, Larry. Look, I don't often sort of speak about the cancer side of it, but I got through it probably really well because of my wife Trista. She was just the rock. She run me to the hospital for the week I had to get all my treatment and stuff, and she kept running the business down the back, keeping everything ticking over. And while she was doing all this, she was actually pregnant with our first son, Thomas. So really, for me, it was probably on one hand easy to get through. She was the one that done all the hard yards, and like she was like I think 6 months, close to 6 months around there, pregnant at the time when we got the news. And at the time, she just worked overtime, obviously just about to become a new mum and handling what was going on with me and run the stable. It was really as difficult it was for me, it was made easy because of how strong she was, really.
A humble guy besides. Wow. Well, tell us a little bit about your start in harness racing and bring it right up to date.
I was obviously born into the sport. Dad done it all his life. Dad was a really hard worker. He lived in Townsville, and he was sort of top of the tree in Townsville for many years. And then he decided he wanted to do young horses, and so he had made the move to Brisbane, and it was quite hard because he sort of went from being top of the tree to just run it, one that just was basically down the bottom. He had to start over again. And it was a really long, hard haul for, probably 15 years in Brisbane before we sort of gained a bit of momentum. And eventually, Dad become the leading trainer in Brisbane and then Australia, and then I was fortunate enough to probably capitalise on all his good work and work on from there. And then that was when I took over the stable. I sort of kicked off with Trista then, and that's we've both been a working team from that point.
Grant, when you started, Granty, you were driving principally at a track called Rocklea. Now, the Americans wouldn't believe Rocklea. If you think of your smallest show circuit on a bad day, think again, because Rocklea had a circumference of 461 metres. Larry, it was about a 2 1/4 furlong track, and all the races, they weren't run from van starts. They weren't run from car or mobile starts. They were all run, Grant, from standing starts. Explain to us how you kicked off at Rocklea before you went into the big smoke, and how learning your trade on what they called the circle of death eventually helped you.
Yeah, Marsh, it was quite the learning curve. It was just a matter of that was the quality of horses that we had, and that's what we had to make do with. And it learned you to keep an eye out for trouble and ahead, and you really had to sort of really drive through the field. And the horses that were there weren't the best horses or the best gaited. So you really had to most Saturdays there was always a fall or someone got tipped out. Most Saturdays it can go past without a fall or a tip out. So it was quite the learning. I would want to change it. You sort of, to a degree, you miss that kind of racing, but time goes on. But people sort of move away from the smaller tracks and the standing starts. But I do think it's still got a place now if they did actually kick it over again. But it was a great learning curve, and it enabled us with the average sort of team to make, as Larry would say, it's tough game and it's hard to get ahead, but it enabled us to keep progressing and eventually increase the team. We at the time we'd take a truckload of Rocklea, but we'd take one horse to Albion Park, and we'd be lucky if it was starting 40-1. That was about our team, the quality that we had way back then.
But it was that rough and ready at Rocklea of a day that you're only a young fella, a teenager in the time, but I believe that your mother, Raylene, every time she packed your colours bag of a morning for Rocklea and then for Albion Park that night, Mum would always put in a pair of pyjamas just in case you ended up at Royal Brisbane Hospital.
I don't think it wasn't that tough, but I was probably fortunate enough at the time. I'd never done any hospital runs after Rocklea, so it was good.
Larry, that's unheard of, isn't it? A track that size. Yeah, it sure is. I've been watching some of the races over there, and there's a few things that I noticed that I want to talk about. One is the size of the track, and it's a very narrow track. I think you have a starting gate that holds 6 and then 3 behind. The track is very narrow. Like over here at the Meadowlands, I think the track is 180 feet wide, and the tracks that you race on. Oh, one question I want to ask too is the race bikes. Are they the same width as the race bikes here in the States?
No, they are a lot wider now than when I first started, but they're still not the width of the American bikes.
So they're a lot. They're narrower. Yeah,
they are.
I noticed that. Now, I want to ask you a question, and I want to ask it now. Maybe it's not the right time to ask, but I want to ask it because it's going to lead into another question. And I never asked this question before. I always thought about it and never asked somebody, but I'm gonna ask you your opinion. Now, thoroughbreds for the last 200 years, they go a mile in a minute, 1:35. harness racing, maybe 50, 60, 70 years ago, we'll talk about paces. Their mile was maybe 2.5 or 2.6, and they improved. They improved every 5, 10, 15 years. They improved a little bit. So it went from maybe an average time of a mile gone in 2 minutes, where the thoroughbreds for their whole history went a mile in a minute and 35, 36, 37 seconds. It never changed. It's a natural gait. And that's why they probably in 200 years they didn't improve more than a second. Where the standard breds, they improved probably 10 seconds every 10, 15, 20 years. I know that I think it was Adios Butler and even Cardigan Bay in the 60s. Their mile was probably 155, 156. So here's my question, and it's for a reason. Back then, we had stake races where sometimes you had to go 2, 3, or even 4 heats in the same night, and in every case, the last heat, in every heat after the first, went faster and faster and faster. Now, through the years, as the breed got better and they were going faster, because now from being maybe 30 seconds, 40 seconds, 50 seconds slower than the thoroughbreds at a mile, now we're 10 seconds apart. And they're going to. I think the last race, the last world time was I think it was 1:45, I think, or 1:46. I think Bulldog did 1:46. So now we're 10 miles, 10 seconds apart, and which is an unbelievable feat. Now here's my question. Back 15, 20, 30 years ago, they raced in heats. They raced 3, 4 heats sometimes before they get to the final, and every heat was faster and faster and faster. Now, today they don't do that. But today I'm a great component. I'm a great believer in helping a horse recovery time, and I wonder all the time why 20, 30 years ago, these horses that raced 2 and 3 heats before the final, every heat went faster and faster. Recovery was not even a consideration, not even a thought back then. But today, they don't race heats. They race one race, and after the race, they need help. They need a steroid. They need some kind of fluids. They need some help to recover within 2 or 3 days. Now, the reason in my mind that, and this is where I want your opinion, the reason in my mind, the reason they do that is because 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, if you took the hobbles off and just let him gallop, he'd run probably 10 seconds faster, 15 seconds faster than they could pace, and so they weren't really extending themselves to the fullest. So they were able to go because it wasn't an all out and as fast as the horse could possibly go, because he was limited by the hobbles or with a trotter because of a trot. But today they're going just about as fast as the thoroughbreds. And in my opinion, they need some help. Now, the genius is, and I'm not going to ask you to comment on the judges or the stewards or anything because you're still racing, so I don't want you to comment about that. But in this country, the idiots that are in charge, making the rules and governing, they don't. Pretty soon they're gonna. I believe they're going to say you can't give your horse water for 5 days before the race or some stupid thing like that. So my question is, Do you agree with me that the reason the horses today need some kind of help recuperating from a race because they're going so much faster, where 30, 40 years ago they really didn't have to extend, not that they didn't want to, they couldn't because of the restrictions of the hobbles or the gait of the trot. And that will lead me to the question I have about Leap to Fame. You raced them 3 times. You raced them 3 times in 10 or 15 days. And the last race, the last day, I think you raced for like $500,000. How the hell did you do that with a horse? Now, I could see if it was 50 years ago where you're going miles in 58 or 2 minutes or something like that, you were breaking world records. You were breaking track records, miles in the middle 50s. How did you keep this horse? I think one race you raced 3 days apart, and I mean track record time. How did you do that, and what did you do in between the 2 or 3 days, and what did you do leading up the 7 days leading up to that $500,000 race?
Yeah, Larry, I think the breed now is a lot finer, where they're just not as like colonial bred, and they're probably just you don't have to work them quite as hard, and the racing, like you say, is just a lot harder and faster the whole way. Where they used to get a bit of a breather, but now they just run. And back to Leap to Fame. Well, what me and Tristan sort of did, we just made sure that he was rock hard fit coming into the first heat, and then ideally with him, I tried to always, if I could, just leave a little bit in the tank for him and not max him quite out or every run, so that he did sort of hit the line, within himself. And then after every run, we give him a day off, and we'd give him make sure he got plenty of fluids and vitamins in between, so that he wasn't, lacking for anything at all. And then, and just sort of worked him a little bit to his weight in between, where we just made sure that he maintained his weight through the series. And, to him, he's just a really good horse. And he didn't find it hard. And as the days after the final, he was bouncing. He was ready for another race the following Sunday if we had to win.
So he's just got to be a special horse. I remember about in the early 80s when I was going to get into the yearling game, because prior to that I raced strictly claimers, where I had more control and did what I want. I classified them myself rather than have some idiot in the racing office classify them. I used to go to the farms prior to the sale with 2 different veterinarians trying to measure their heart, their lung capacity, measure everything, the 4 fingers under the jaw, and every little trick that all the old timers say that you would do. And I did that religiously, and none of it ever worked. It just makes no difference. It just didn't work. And all of a sudden, a horse that toes in is breaking world records, and a horse that stands perfect can't qualify. And so I learned early on that maybe perfect conformation is in a perfect neck size or head size, or the way their eyes glitter is not really the answer. And now that I know that measuring the heart is not the answer, and then I try to look back to all the great horses like Secretariat and Kelso and all of them great horses, and I kind of want to find, and that's why I'm so fascinated with Leap to Fame and yourself, because every time I want to kind of find the Mickey Mantle of harness racing or even thoroughbred racing, where there's a true a true champion, I find out that the success of the true champion is not the trainer, it's the veterinarian. And there's a veterinarian that it just so happens that every Kentucky Derby winner, not everyone, but in the 60s and 70s, every horse that won Horse of the Year or 5 horses, 5 years in a row, Horse of the Year, was all treated by the same veterinarian who eventually went to jail for elephant tranquilizers and all of that stuff. So I could, even though I'm always looking for a champion that I could always look up to and say, well, let me study his conformation, or let me study something, or find out how he did it and what he did, I could never find one until this horse, because I know from Marshall that you're a straight hay and oats guy, and little fluids after the race, and that's it. So I'd just like to ask you one more question about your stable. I was reading, part of what I was reading, I don't even know if you want to talk about this, but you had 31 starts, 8 seconds out of 41 starts. I think you start racing as a 3-year-old, right?
Yeah, Leap to Fame. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he started at 2.
And incredibly, Grant, he got beaten on his debut. But I think, Larry, for all of our North American friends who mightn't have seen this wonderful horse, the series that you were talking about was the Inter-Dominion. He raced on the Saturday night over a mile, on the Tuesday over a mile and a quarter, and on the Saturday night, the next Saturday night, that was for $500,000 in the final of the Inter-Dominion Pacing Championship, which has been won by some of the all-time greats of the Southern Hemisphere. And they've had American horses come out here and win it as well. So it's not for two bob champions. It's for great horses who can keep backing up, and great horsemen. I'd like to say that there may be greater trainers in Australia than Grant Dixon, and there may be greater drivers. I don't know. But I can't think of a better trainer and driver. And that's an art in itself. If you can find someone who can not only train, but also drive at the elite level. And that's what Grant does. So, Larry, how about we turn back the hands of time and have a look at Leap to Fame's win, amazing win in the Inter-Dominion Pacing Championship.
Okay.
Ready. There's the light. They're off and pacing. First call easily belongs to Turn It Up. He was able to just go straight to the early lead. Now here's the battle. Future Assured charging forward. Swayze kicks up. Leap to Fame deeper. Future Assured, he's 3 metres, 4 metres, 5 metres in front of Swayze, and he's going to touch down with the lead. And Leap to Fame is racing up on the outside. Swayze in a pocket early. It's Future Assured out in front. Leap to Fame a neck away on his outside. Swayze, he sits third at this point. He's one off the inside. He's leaders back. Spirit of St. Louis works into the 1-1 trail. Down on the inside, 3 back, Turn It Up. Better Eclipse. He comes calling quickly, 3 wide. Cat and mouse tactics here. Leap to Fame is about to take it up now. 2,000 metres left to run. Inter-Dominion Pacing Championship Grand Final. And he runs to the lead, the local hero. Leap to Fame out in front. Taking cover, Future Assured. Swayze now working one off, and Better Eclipse. He's going to land 1-1 cover. Down on the inside, 3 back, Turn It Up. Spirit of St. Louis, Narano. 4 back the inside, Speak the Truth. Classy Washington, Pete Said So, Canina Problema, back of the tail, Our Money Rocks, heading down the back straight. They have 1 mile left to run. Leap to Fame leads the way. Swayze on his outside. This is what we've been waiting for, and they're going to go at one another a long way out. Leap to Fame by a head. Swayze cuts the breeze second. Future Assured, leaders back. Look at Better Eclipse sitting perfectly positioned fourth, 1 by 1. Turn It Up fifth, 3 back the inside. Spirit of St. Louis, Speak the Truth on the outside of Narano. He's buried back on the inside. Pete Said So, Classy Washington. Back towards the tail, Our Money Rocks, Canina Problema. Lead time 77.8. What about this first quarter of the last mile? 27.8. The gloves are off a long way out. Leap to Fame on the inside. He leads out by a neck. Swayze on his outside in second, and they're still going at one another. Paces right on. Leaders back third, Future Assured. Better Eclipse. 1 by 1, glued to his back. Spirit of St. Louis, Turn It Up is down on the inside. Narano covered up by Speak the Truth. Classy Washington. Pete Said So. Act the tail, Our Money Rocks and Canina Problema. Second quarter, 28.7. punishing tempo down the Trump Bloodstock back straight, final time. Leap to Fame just extending the lead. Margin 5 metres. Heart is hard at work. Is there a beat there with Swayze? Future Assured sitting third. Better Eclipse 1-1. Turn it up down on the inside. Spirit of St. Louis, Narano. Speak the Truth chased up. Classy Washington. Pete said so. Canina Problema. Our Money Rocks is at the tail. The world is watching. They're watching for Larry, and he's opening up here. He's going for a Dixon right here, right now. Leap to Fame. He has exploded away. Margin is over 12 metres. Future Assured, Swayze. Better Eclipse to the outside. Leap to Fame. Leap to Fame. Operation Into Dominion complete, and it's all Larry. Leap to Fame bolts in. What a moment for Dixon. Leap to Fame. Better Eclipse, Swayze. Spirit of St. Louis. Next over the line, Speak the Truth, Narano. Canina Problema, Pete said so. Our Money Rocks. Back towards the tail. Future Assured, Classy Washington. Turn it up. The final split. 27.7. The Pelican Waters Resort mile rate. It would have to be a new world record. 153.6. What a performance. What a horse. A clean sweep. And he saved the best till last. That was brilliant. What a moment for Queensland. What a moment for Grant and Trista Dixon. Leap to Fame. Standing tall. The tactical battle early, it didn't disappoint. He won out. He was able to find the lead, and then he just buried them. Sustained speed all the way. 27.8, 28.7, 27.2, 27.5. 3.9 the overall time. The mile rate, 153.5. What a horse. What a horse. Leap to Fame. 6.11.39. Better Eclipse, the runner-up. Swayze, unbelievably good running third. That was a battle that didn't disappoint. Spirit of St. Louis fourth, and fifth goes the way of one Narano. 6.11.3, 9.1. This is a moment, folks, that you can live with, because he becomes just the second Queensland horse to win an Inter Dominion. There's only one in front of him, and that's Black's a Fake. Who knows, he might be on the way. Give him a round of applause. What a horse. What...
That was quite a race. That was quite a race. I'd like to ask just one or two other questions. I keep getting these questions in my head, and I got to ask. The first question, I noticed, the first one is the strap around the neck. I could never get that. I mean, outside of a strap around a horse's neck, the only thing I could see is that maybe if a horse is out there jogging without an overcheck or races with a real long check, that the line will get hooked under the shaft or something. But other than that, when they first came over here years ago, they came over here and every horse wore a strap. And I says to the kid that used to work for me, he went over there and he bought $100,000 worth of horses and come back with them. And the first thing he did was take them to the blacksmith shop, chop their feet off, and then he found out he couldn't find hobbles that were long enough. He couldn't find a head check that was long enough. And I mean, I says, how could you not buy the equipment with the horse? But anyway, that's a whole other story. But I noticed that Leap to Fame wears a sideline bit that I must have had one in every size, a half-inch, that under the jaw sideline bit. He wears it with the extension on the right side. Is that correct with Leap?
It's even on both sides, Larry. It's just, we just call it an extension bit. It goes through his snaffle bit.
Under the chin?
It just gets in a little tiny bit on the corners. I probably could take it off him this stage, but I sort of don't really want to change anything that's working at the moment. So I just leave it there with him. And he wears minimal gear. He just wears a little light burr on the inside, knee boots, shin boots, and earplugs, Dolly Vardens, and
line burr.
No, just a burr on the rein. That's all.
What kind of shoes do you have on there? Because every horse around here now in the States, every horse has 4 aluminums.
Yeah, that's what he's got on. Yeah, it's all round. He's a really good gaited horse. He's got a beautiful action to sit behind. His manners are just terrific. He's a relaxed horse. Yeah, he tries his heart out. He's just the perfect animal to drive.
I see the hobbles, the swimming on him. He could probably go free-legged, I would imagine.
No, we do a lot of canter work with him, and he sort of really can't free-leg at any real great pace. He does fill him like when he lands, like when you will see. He may look a bit swimmy on him, but when he does land, he does fill him right out.
Granty, you and Trista don't own him. He's a better's delight, of course. You've left him as a bull, obviously, to stud him later. Were there any thoughts of gelding him? But also, you bought him. You selected him and bought him as a yearling at the sales on behalf of your biggest owners, Kevin and Kay Seymour. And it's been because of the support of Kevin and Kay, and also Greg and Sharon Mitchell and other long-time owners like Dr. Mamino and Paul Felgate and his syndicates, and a lot of interstate stables as well, that you've been able to have this success. You're principally a commercial trainer. You train very few horses for yourself, and it is for these outside owners who trust you. And what a great day it was for Kevin and Kay Seymour, who have been involved in harness racing ever since, I guess, anyone can remember, probably 50 years. And to get a horse like him, what was it about him as a yearling that you liked, Grant, so much that you bought him?
Look, me and Trista went down to the sales. We'd been picking out 2 yearlings every year for Kevin and Kay down out of the Sydney sales for probably the last 4 years. And yeah, Kevin did say he wanted a better's delight fella. And I don't know, we just, it might have been some earlier ones that we might have had marked off, but they went for quite high prices. And we do sort of have a little bit of a budget with it. Kevin and Kay obviously got plenty of money, but I don't like to go down there and spend hundreds of thousands. I just like to try and buy one that I think that we think it's sort of value for money. And he was just, I don't know, he just had something about him, and probably when you see him now, you can see it in him. He did have a couple of little a little bit of a scar on one back leg and a bit of a scar on a front shoulder, which might have steered people away from him. And he was a late entry into the sale, so some people may not have had the extra bit of paper that he was on, which probably might have led to helping us secure him. So no, I don't know. We're just at the end of the day, I think a lot of it does come down to luck, and we're just the right people at the right time that managed to secure him.
Larry, when you and your team, stable management was one thing, but what about this young fella here with stable management? He and his wife Trista raising 3 young boys and having 60 or so horses in work every year. Amazing horsemanship, Larry, isn't it?
It's what I said in the beginning was true. I know how tough it is. I know how tough it is just to take care of, train and race 20, 30, 40, 50 horses. I know how tough that is. It's 24 hours a day. Then the illness, and then the family, and then the wife, and then the kids. I wasn't kidding when I said I put him to the top of the heap. And I'm not saying it, like I said before, to patronize him. I'm saying it because I know how tough all 3 lives are. To be a father, to fight for your life, and to run a stable of horses. I know, and it's amazing. I only wish that I could remember a lot of the things that I wanted to ask him that were important things that I wrote and threw the papers away. Now I'm trying to remember what the hell it was. I know there's one question I wanted to ask because of this horse's unbelievable record. I know that you were in a race one day with your stablemate, a horse called Swayze or something like that, and you got beat. And I read a comment that you had a flat tire or something. You want to talk about that, or you want to forget that ever happened?
Oh, look, it was disappointing on the night. Yeah, Swayze's he's not a stablemate. He's Leap the Fame's half brother, and it was sort of touted as a bit of a match race between the brothers. And yeah, just on the home corner, I don't think I was going to beat him. I would have got fairly close to him, but yeah, we got a flat tire halfway around the home corner, and the tube did wrap up around the axle too, which sort of it obviously made it harder again. But I'm not sure at what point that sort of actually wrapped around and really become a handbrake. But to the horse's credit, he tried his heart out, and it was disappointing to get beat. But as you know, in racing, there's 101 ways you can get beat, and it was disappointing at the time. But I was probably more disappointed for the horse himself, because I know how hard he tries and how much he puts into it, and yeah, for that sort of that to come against him, but he bounced back from that.
I believe a horse knows when he gets beat too, and I believe a horse knows when he wins. I really believe that. I might be wrong, but I believe that. And a flat tire is a flat tire. And I didn't see the race. I looked for that race. I couldn't find it nowhere. But I would love to see. Another thing I noticed in racing over there is that. And maybe it's because of the size of the racetrack. Some I don't know if they're half-mile tracks or 5 8-mile tracks, and some races go 1.5 miles, 1.25 miles, a mile. They're all over the place. And every time I look at a race, I see 2 tiers from the 8th pole, and the guy on the outside is just happy sitting there going 1/4 in 32 seconds. I just don't get that. And then I see that it's like 1.5 mile race, and I kind of understand it, because I would imagine the first half they're going to walk and just be in position. But in New York, you never, especially at the Meadowlands, you'd never see double formation by the quarter pole. They're out and running. Normally at the quarter pole is single formation, but over there they just seem to sit on the outside, and they just love it. I noticed a couple of your races where you had one race I watched, you had an inside position, the other race an outside position, and the rail wasn't even a consideration. You just sat in the second lane and just stayed there and just got covered up, and the whole thing was the amazing 3 wide moves you make when in the third quarter when they're really flying. And Leap to Fame is just passing by these horses in hand, and how most of your races finished in hand. It's amazing. I would love to see that horse Leap to Fame race over here at this racetrack against some of the best horses over here, because he's very, very impressive. I mean, you just, every race that you win in hand, and you come from any position all over the place. Any distance, you cut the mile at long distances, you cut the mile at short distances. He's just a very handy horse. Is he easy coming, if he's on the gate, coming off the gate? You have no problem. If you want to leave, no problem.
Larry, he hasn't been a horse that's had a lot of good draws, so we haven't often pushed him off the gate too much. But of late I've been asking him a little bit more, and he'll go forward, but he's not super fast off the arm, but he's easy to drag him back too. He doesn't if you probably think of the best horse, easiest horse you've ever driven, he's probably that's him. He's just perfect to drive. He's unbelievable.
Now, I don't know if you put earplugs on them all the time, but I hardly ever. I think I only seen you pull them once, I think. And it might have been the guy behind you because it was coming around the last turn. But does he race with earplugs?
Yeah, I put them on him just to keep him, just in case there was only like one race where when I was in front, he did want to get going a little bit earlier to home than I wanted him to. And I thought to myself, I'm just better off leaving him in him, just in case for that one time that he wants to get going. But on the overall, he's really only ever done it once, and thankfully I haven't really had to pull him too often to get to that supreme effort for him. So yeah, they're just there to just keep him a little bit more relaxed. But to be fair, he really doesn't need him.
I get a kick out of when there were 2 or 3 races I watched when you made the top. You actually turned your body around like you were on a swivel chair, and you had everybody. You just knew where everybody was. The horses you had to beat, you knew just where they were. And then that one race, I don't know if you come off the rail or there was a passing lane, you let your stablemate finish second. But it just shows that how much savvy you have out there, and it's a pleasure. I sat up all last night and the night before just trying to watch all your races. Like I said, I couldn't find that race with Swayze, but I watched that. I see he wears tendon boots and knee boots. I see marks on the knee boots, but not on the tendon boots. Well, there was one mark on one tendon, left tendon boot once. But I guess that's more for protection. I guess. Does he really?
Yeah, he only brushes his near side knee, and just the tendon boots. We just put them on there for just in case. He doesn't really need them, but it's only just in case if you copped the bump or something went wrong. But yeah, to be fair, he doesn't really need them.
Yeah, I didn't see no marks on them. And the one thing that scares me is the knee boots without suspenders, and because I seen too many drop or get twisted around, and then so that don't happen again. They make them too tight, and it's just I'm kind of old fashioned. I just put suspenders on. I know the new ones form fit and they don't need suspenders, but if they have the clip, I put the suspenders on them. And along with a breast collar that I see you always wear. I'm trying to think of some really good questions that I had that I wanted to talk to you about. And
I think I've got one. Larry, Granty, it has been said that all great horses have great stable names. You better tell us about Leap to Fame's stable name.
Oh, as Larry probably is aware of, his stable name is Larry. Just up at the Kevin and Kay's stud, they generally just try and pick a name out that starts with the letter of the mares. So yeah, he managed to get Larry. So yeah, you can tell the American friends he is named after you if you want to be. they won't know any better.
You have any plans at all of coming to the States? Are you happy right?
Look, I'm happy probably just to stay home with him. There's a lot of races over here for him that he can go through. So I think he'd go well in America, but you worry whether they get sick in the travel. We obviously don't race on Butte or Lasix over here, so I think his longevity would be, he'd last longer in Australia than going to America. But end of the day, just that decision's left with Kevin and Kay.
You're right. Just obviously this will be his last year racing, right?
Oh, I hope not, Larry. I hope to get a few more seasons out of him, all being well with him. Kevin and Kay, obviously they do it because they want a champion racehorse and they want to see him race. So I'm hoping that we at least get one more season after this year. I'm quite hopeful of that, as long as everything stays right with the horse.
Is there any way in Australia where you race that you could kind of set him up for like a record, like on a mile for a mile? Is there any way that you could talk to a race secretary or something to ride a 1 mile race, put some decent horses in there, and just try to get a real good record on them, faster than what's his record now? 51 or something?
49.
49?
Yeah, tell you the truth, Larry, is, that we have a race called the Miracle Mile, which would be the race to do it in. But tell you the truth, if I would rather him always hit the line with something in the tank and come out of the race all right and get a slower mile than put him to the sword and go as hard as he could the whole way. Because I've seen so many horses come out of the Miracle Mile, and it really affects their career later on after they've had a gut busting mile race. So yeah, as much as the times are great and that, I would still I'd still feel more comfortable if he hit the line and run a slower mile and had something left and pulled up okay.
If I asked that question to 300 guys, you'd be the only one that would give that answer. You're a hell of a guy, I'll tell you. Everybody would be thinking of the dollar sign and maybe another $10,000 in the stud fee if he had a little faster record. And I'm surprised that I really thought that this would be his last year. You're going to race him, and the way you race him, every race I see you finished in hand with the earplug still in. You're right; he could probably race another 2 or 3 years. And I guess if that's what the owners want, that's it. You're a unique guy. It's really a pleasure meeting with you and talking to you. I only wish that. In fact, if you notice, Marshall, I have reading glasses on tonight because I have all intentions of taking all them pages and question after question, and then the last minute, I says I can't do that because I forgot to do one thing. I forgot to put the font bigger, and it was all 11 font, and I still couldn't read it with my glasses unless I really looked over. So.
Larry, nobody could have interviewed Grant better than you, Larry, because you did it from the heart and you did it with love and you did it with respect and appreciation. And you didn't need to be reading any questions. I would like to ask, just before we do a bit of housekeeping, Larry, I know that you talked before about the rehydration factor after these races. Grant, having the access to a great tack room like Garrard's Horse and Hound must be a great advantage to trainers too. To be able to, and because you're a clean stable, there's make no doubt about that. There's talk about other stables all over the world, and Australia is no different. But you race clean, but you try and supplement your horses to what they need, and Garrard's Horse and Hound is helpful to you.
Oh, definitely, Marsh. There's the shop itself just has everything you need in there. You never really ever want for anything. You can always find it. The staff's great in there, and they supply us with all the goods, and and they're great sponsors back to the industry over here as well. So as much as they they run a business, but they're great for our business as well on two fronts.
And Granty, I know there isn't much downtime for you and Trista, having 3 little boys and a stable of horses, but I know that in that downtime, Trista particularly loves to watch old movies, and Trista loves the old comedies, and Trista is particularly taken by anything that Jerry Lewis appears in, Grant.
Well, Mars, as you know, you've often had a bit of a joke with me saying I look like Jerry Lewis, but to be fair, Trista actually doesn't like watching TV. So, she's a hard worker and doesn't like to stop. So, yeah, TV's more my go, sitting and stopping. But she just keeps going.
I have a question. Do they allow steroids in Australia? You all have to give a horse, say after a race, you want to give a horse a shot of steroids. Would they allow that or not?
No, not at all, Larry. No.
Nothing.
No.
No Lasix.
No.
Nothing.
No, well, you can train on Lasix through the week if you want to, but it'd have to be like on a Tuesday for a Saturday if you just wanted to train them on it. That's all. Yeah, no, the rules are fairly tough. Like even Butte would be, it's a good 7 days. So.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's pretty tough, but it is what it is, and I think it's good for the horse's welfare that they basically got to turn up with no anti-inflammatories in them and stuff. So I'm quite happy enough with the racing rules here.
That's why all them guys that come from Australia and New Zealand, they come up here and they all become leading trainers right away when they get to how the rules were years ago, when they found out that they could use Banamine 2 days out, Bute the day before, Lasix, and maybe 2 or 3 other drugs that they're not tested for. These guys become leading guys, Krogan and well, I don't want to mention any names, but they're all top horsemen, and they all became top trainers, and they took advantage of the American way here. And for 10, 15 years, they completely dominated within the rules. What they do now, I don't know. There's a lot of people going to jail for drugs and everything, but I'm happy to see that down in Australia, they don't have that problem. And I can only hope that there's a lot of guys like you, trainers that just race on hay and oats and little fluids after the race, and limited rigging, can't see bridle, and maybe some earplugs that never get pulled, and a little burr on the inside. Then that's it. I could tell you, Grant, it's a pleasure talking with you, and I'm sure that I'm sure that if we were having dinner, we could talk for hours and hours and hours, because I'm not starstruck now talking to you, but I just can't remember all the things that I wanted to talk to you about, from breaking the yearlings to stuff that horseman to horseman, that you probably don't have a chance to talk about. And I wanted to hear some of the training methods, how for the American audience here, and that's I had that in mind, and I wrote a whole bunch of things down, but I forgot them. And I wanted to talk to you too about the thoroughbreds, if you knew anything about that, because I trained both. I had thoroughbreds and standard breds, and someday we'll talk about that. I have no intentions ever, even after meeting Marshall, I had no intentions of ever going to down there by you. But after meeting you, I'd love to come down there just to shake your hand and just sit in a chair at in your shed row and just watch. And I'd like to see this horse in person. That's it. I hope you come on again, because I can't say I'll be better prepared, because I was prepared. I just threw everything in the garbage. So Marshall, you got to help me out here. This is not my gig. This is not my kind of thing. I'm used to staying at the barn, very much like Grant, and you're the guy that's good at this stuff. I'm not. I only wish that you would ask me a question or two about the difference in training and methods and everything else. But well, one other question: a horse race every 7 days. You train him in between, just a slow mile, maybe 20, one trip or something like that?
Oh, look, Rolly, Larry, this fella, he does take a bit of work on his jog days. We'll give him a little bit of a canter, and but depending on how hard he's gone the previous Saturday, we will probably fast work him on Tuesday 2 trips, and then on Thursday, sorry, we'd probably give him probably just the 1 trip on the Thursday. So he does do a fair bit of work. It's not workouts where we'd open him right up, but on our track at home, he'd probably go probably a mile in probably 14, and then a mile in 10 or something like that, with a good walk in between.
Wow.
And then so he does. Yeah, he's he's fit, but
That's a lot of
yeah,
work. That's a lot of work for a horse, and one wow, that's a lot with no help, with no steroids, no help recovering, and then race day he's going them kind of miles, 2 or 3 wide. And another thing I found out by watching races that almost every race I saw you come 3, 4 wide, one time even 5 wide, and the turns there are not even banked. I don't even think there's maybe I'm wrong because I can't see on television, but them turns don't even look like they have a 2-3% bank where to me, if the track is narrow and you're gonna have a double tier, and almost every race is 2 tiers by the backstretch, by the 3/4 pole, you're 3 and 4 wide. They should have these turns banked a whole lot more than what they are. They look like flat turns to me, but what the I could be wrong. I'm just watching on television. I can't see, because it's amazing to me how you come around these turns, and well, every time you came around a turn, you were in hand, just totally in hand. But it's amazing to me. That's an awful lot of work for a horse. That would never happen here. How many miles in the jogging days? How many miles? 4, 5, 6?
It'd probably just do. Look, it only equates to about. We give him a walk. We split it. What he does, and he'll probably just canter along for around 7 minutes, and then he has a walk, and he'll canter another 7 minutes. God. And it's only at a steady canter.
Yeah, so but that's 10 miles.
Yeah. No, it would get 2 mile, and yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's for sure.
They breed them tough down here, Larry. Man and horse.
Why I wanted
man and beast, brother.
It's just unbelievable with no recovery help. And going the speeds that he goes on race day with no recovery help, no time in the field. You never turn him out, just kick him out in the back.
No, he goes out. He goes out every day.
Okay.
Every day he goes. Yeah. No, he lives out in the paddock a lot, and he just comes in it through the night. No, he gets a lot of paddock time.
That's a big. Yeah. That's a big key. That's a big key right there. All right, guys. For sure. It's been great. Grant, it was really a pleasure meeting with you, and I hope the next time we do this, and I hope we do it again, I'll try to be a little bit more professional. I got to take lessons from Marshall.
You're doing all right, Larry.
That's it, Grant. Good luck in all you do. Good luck, good health, Godspeed. And I hope I see you soon. And if I ever get, it's going to be on my bucket list, Italy and Australia. And you'll be the first call I make after I make a call to Marshall.
Larry, but it ain't over till it's over. You know that, because at Albion Park in Brisbane recently, we have to thank the club chairman, Brad Steele, who's a great viewer of this podcast and liked it so much, Larry, and I know that you don't know about this, but they named at Albion Park, Grant's home track, a race, and it was called Against All Odds, the Larry Rolla Pace. And now we can go and have a look at the last 100 metres of that race named in your honour.
There's the light. They're off and pacing, fast away, My Secret Beach. Changing of the guard, has very good early speed, goes hunting for the lead. My Secret Beach is trying to repel the early challenge, and the speed's right on. Bad Boy Boris slides across into third. Man of Action fourth, dropping down to the inside. Let's Get Shorty, Heavenly Wisdom. Rock Time, Astrophilia's down on the inside. Next Skipper's Swan Song, Tooth on a Roll, going back from the wide draw, out towards the tail. Now Bad Boy Boris put in a couple of rough ones going into the first turn. He was able to reset quickly, but he loses the early advantage. Out in front, My Secret Beach, able to hold up from the inside. My Secret Beach leads the way. Now caught without cover, changing of the guard. Man of Action in a good spot, leaders back third. Heavenly Wisdom fourth, 1-1. Down on the inside, fifth, 3 back. Let's Get Shorty. Next Bad Boy Boris, Astrophilia racing 4 back the inside. Next Rock Time, Tooth on a Roll. The last one, Skipper's Swan Song. The lead time, 38.3. Speed is slow now as they work up to the home turn. Just on 1,200 metres left to run. Out in front, My Secret Beach. My Secret Beach has it by a head. Changing of the guard over, racing without cover. Leaders back third, Man of Action. Sitting fourth, one by one, Heavenly Wisdom. The inside three back. That's Let's Get Shorty. Bad Boy Boris, Astrophilia. Next, Rock Time. Tooth on a Roll, and at the tail, Skipper's Swan Song as they race by the judge in the bell. First quarter of the last mile, 32.6. Leading the way out in front and doing it well, it's My Secret Beach. My Secret Beach by a neck, changing the guard always without cover. Man of Action is going easily. Leaders back third, waits on that Kaleido sprint lane. Heavenly Wisdom perfectly positioned, sitting fourth, 1-1. Down on the inside three back, Let's Get Shorty. Bad Boy Boris. Rock Time on the outside of Astrophilia. Tooth on a Roll, Skipper's Swan Song, second split, 31.2. Heading down the Trump Bloodstock back straight, it's still My Secret Beach. My Secret Beach in front by a head, changing in the guard, still there on the outside. Heavenly Wisdom, now emerging three deep. Man of Action right behind them. Bad Boy Boris, Let's Get Shorty, Rock Time, Skipper's Swan Song, taking off deeper. Astrophilia, Tooth on a Roll. Third quarter, 29.3. Changing in the guard on the outside. Races to a slender lead. My Secret Beach is trying to rally. Heavenly Wisdom deeper with Bad Boy Boris. Man of Action goes to the inside. My Secret Beach changing in the guard. Bad Boy Boris is charging out wide. Skipper's Swan Song deeper. Bad Boy Boris. Bad Boy Boris too good. Beating Skipper's Swan Song. Maybe Rock Time third. Close up My Secret Beach. Heavenly Wisdom. Man of Action. Let's Get Shorty, changing in the guard, Tooth on a Roll, Astrophilia. Final split, 28.5. The Pelican Waters Resort mile rate, 2 minutes, 0.3. Bad Boy Boris. Bad Boy Boris comes out on top.
Well, how about that, Larry? Did you ever think you'd see the day that a race club on the other side of the world would pay homage to you?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And once again, I thank you for your friendship. I thank you for all you do. And I thank you so much for bringing Grant onto this show. I only wish I had a private jet, because I'd fly down there right now. Anyway,
Now,
Grant,
don't forget,
thanks so much for coming on. Continued luck in the future. Good health to you and your family. And Marshall, be sure that any jokes you tell are going to be edited out from this point on.
Be safe, Larry, folks. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and ring the bell so you get notification of this podcast every week. A shout out to a guy that you mentioned a moment ago, Larry, Ross Krogan, an expat Australian. Ross, a great guy, hell of a horseman, hasn't been keeping the best of health, I believe. So, Ross, if you're watching, you'll get this message, no doubt. We hope that you're doing well. Also, folks, more to see, more to be found at Garrard's Horse and Hound. It is the leading tack company in the Southern Hemisphere in Australia and New Zealand. And also, folks, if you get quoted a horse from the Southern Hemisphere, it's a free service. If you'd like to find out something about it, all you have to do is email me at that address, get a pen at eis.net.au. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, ring the bell for the notification. We'll see you next time.
See ya. Bye, guys.
All right. Thank you.